Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to be doing another top 5 list. And today's top 5 list is going to be my top 5 favorite comic book movies of 2016. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying, it's been kind of a lukewarm year for comic book movies, and we had some great ones, but for the most part, they really weren't all that good. But you know what? I thought this was one of the best years, honestly, for comic book movies. I very much enjoyed a lot of the comic book films that did come out this year. So that's why I am here today to count down my top 5 favorite comic book films of 2016. So, before we get into the list, I only have 2 honorable mentions, and those 2 honorable mentions are Batman Bad Blood and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Those are my 2 honorable mentions for this list. I very much enjoyed both of those films, but they barely made the list. So, let's get right into my top 5 favorite comic book movies of 2016. So, coming in at number 5 is Justice League vs. Teen Titans. Justice League vs. Teen Titans. I know some people were very mixed on it, but you know what? I loved it. I thought it was such a great. It's more or less of a Teen Titans movie than it is a Justice League movie. Don't really let the title fool you. The fight only happens for like 3 minutes in the film. Like, literally, it's barely a versus movie, but it's more or less a Teen Titans origin story movie. And I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was such a great film. Had some great voice acting. The animation is beautiful. I love the animation with these DC films. And definitely the animation looks incredible in this one. I loved the animation. The action was great. So yeah, I very much enjoyed Justice League vs. Teen Titans. I think it's a great DC animated film. I love how it focused on all the Teen Titans. Like I said, I loved how it was more or less a Teen Titans origin story movie than it was a Teen Titans versus Justice League film. So yeah, I loved Justice League vs. Teen Titans. I think it's a great DC anime film. I definitely would recommend you guys all check it out, honestly. I loved it. So yeah, that's why Justice League vs. Teen Titans comes in at number 5. Number 4 on my list is Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, another movie, like Batman v Superman got mixed reception, and a lot of people said it was a mess. You know what? I really enjoyed Batman v Superman. I had a good time with that. It has its flaws, but I really enjoyed it. But Suicide Squad, I loved this movie. This movie was so awesome. I loved Suicide Squad. I don't really get the hate that it's getting. Seriously, Suicide Squad was such a great, fun action film. I loved the performances in the movie. I thought Will Smith was great as Deadshot. Margot Robbie was great as Harley Quinn. Jared Leto was great as the Joker. Just, the movie had great performances from mostly everyone, honestly. I thought the action was great. I had some of the best action I'd seen all year. Like, I loved the action scenes in this film. I thought the directing was excellent. I thought David Ayer did a fantastic job directing the film. But probably my favorite thing about this entire movie was the chemistry between all the teammates. Like, the chemistry with the team itself. I thought that was by far the best thing about the entire film. I honestly loved that. I loved just the dynamic between all the team members and stuff. It was just fun to watch them on screen. You know what I mean? All these bad guys that, are trying to be somewhat good. Somewhat. And that was just great. I loved seeing that on screen. So yeah, Suicide Squad was a movie that I had tons of fun with. I seriously really don't get the hate with the movie. I thought it was great. I very much enjoyed it. So yeah, that's why Suicide Squad comes in at number 4. Number 3. Doctor Strange. The trippiest movie you probably see all year. But Doctor Strange. Now, I was looking forward to Doctor Strange a lot because it looked like a very different superhero movie and something very different from what Marvel has done in the past, if you know what I mean. They were dealing with magic and sorcery and all this, and I was just hyped to see it, because it looked so, just out of this world that you can't even believe what you were seeing, and that's exactly what I got. I could not believe what I was seeing on screen at some points. Like, the visual effects, holy, still the best visual effects of the year. I don't even think Rogue One, honestly, will beat the visual effects in Doctor Strange, because man, they were so beautiful in this movie, and it makes you really, and it really trips your mind out a lot. Seriously, like, especially one sequence, like I said, not gonna spoil it, but it just involves Tilda Swinton tapping Benedict Cumberbatch on the forehead. That's all I'm gonna say. What happens in that scene? Wow. And, you know, speaking of the actors, Benedict Cumberbatch I thought was great as Doctor Strange. He really embodied the character, and he did such a great job portraying Dr. Stephen Strange, and I very much enjoyed him in the film. Same goes for Chiwetel Ejiofor, you know, Tilda Swinton. Although I didn't really think her character was necessary, I thought Rachel McAdams was really good too. Was Mad Mikkelsen, he was really good too. So yeah, I thought the acting was great. The action was really good too. I love the action scenes in this film, especially the finale. You know, it was a very, very different finale from most superhero films. And it was just, it was great. I loved it. So yeah. Doctor Strange was definitely a mind bend of a movie. It's definitely one of the most different films you're going to see all year. And I loved it. You know, it's definitely one of the best in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I very much enjoyed it. So yeah. So that's why Doctor Strange comes in at number 3. Number 2. Captain America, Civil War. Captain America, Civil War, you know, let's be honest. This movie could have been a total disaster. Let's be real with ourselves for a minute. This movie could have been a whole disaster. With all these characters in the film, it could have been a gigantic mess. But the way that the Russo brothers handle it in this movie is absolutely brilliant. I love Captain America Civil War. I love how just every single Avenger is divided with each other. You know, everyone, you're either with Captain America or you're with Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like, and you understand both perspectives. It's not like, oh, you just understand Captain America's perspective and you don't understand Iron Man's. No, you understand both of them. You know where both of them are coming from. You know, it's like Captain America's like, you're like, man, Captain America's right here, but Iron Man's also right at this point too. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're with one side or the other. You know what I mean? It's like both of them are right with their points, and that's great too. You know, I love that with this movie as well, and just seeing that conflict and just how, like the tagline says, "Divided we stand." You know, united we stand. I'm sorry, divided we fall. It's perfect, and the action scenes. Like, I know people have talked the action scenes to death, but they're incredible. The action scenes are phenomenal in this movie, especially the end fight scene in the movie. It's just, the action scenes are absolutely incredible. I thought the performances were great too. You know, Chris Evans as Captain America, fantastic. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man, fantastic. Just everyone gave great performances. We saw Spider-Man for the first time in the MCU, awesome. So yeah, Captain America Civil War is just an incredible movie. It's one of the best comic book movies I think ever made, honestly, and it's incredible. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Just see it. It's absolutely phenomenal. I loved Captain America Civil War, so that's why that comes in at number 2. Number 1. It's fairly obvious what number 1 is. It's the only one that hasn't been mentioned yet, and that is Deadpool. Without question, my favorite comic book movie of 2016. This movie is absolutely genius. Genius. Okay, it's a genius movie. This movie makes fun of every single comic book film ever made. And they do it in such a genius... This is one of the... I would even consider this a parody movie at some points, because they're just parodying comic book movies at so many points in this movie. Like, Ryan Reynolds is just... Like, Deadpool is just pointing out so many things with comic book movies. It's incredible. And man, it's just so genius. The comedy works 100,000% in this movie. I was dying at throughout the majority of the film, I was dying of laughter because it's genius. The humor is just genius with this movie. Like I said, it makes fun of every single cliche with the superhero film. And also, the movie has a great job of balancing with dramatic moments as well. This movie is all sorts of things. This is a comic book movie. This is a comedy film. This is an action movie. This is a romance movie. It's like a lot of genres. And yet they handle it in a way that's perfect. Literally, all the aspects are great. The comic book aspect is great. The comedy aspect is great. The action aspect is great. And the romance aspect is even great. So, and just the way they handle all that is fantastic. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, still probably my favorite performance of the entire year. Seriously, I loved his performance in this movie. He gave it his all. You know, he just brought everything to this character that needed to be brought to this character in this movie. And he did such a fantastic job in this movie. I loved Ryan Reynolds in this film. Everyone else was great too. Maren Baccarin, I believe that's how you say her name. She was great as Vanessa. TJ Miller was great as Weasel. Just everyone was fantastic in this movie. The action scenes, man, they're brutal. The action scenes are brutal. That's exactly what you need for a Deadpool movie. The action scenes are supposed to be violent, bloody, and brutal. And that's exactly what they are in this movie. Tim Miller. This has got to be one of the best directorial debuts of all time. Seriously, he did a fantastic job directing this movie. The writing, on point. Probably, I want to say, like, I can't decide between this or Hell or High Water for best screenplay of the year. But it's like neck and neck with those two. It's just genius. The writing with this movie is just beyond genius. Seriously, Deadpool is literally the epitome of a comic book movie. Seriously, this might be the best comic book movie since the Avengers. Seriously, Deadpool is phenomenal. I absolutely love Deadpool. It's now in my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. I loved Deadpool, and I rewatched it many times ever since. It's a phenomenal movie. If you still haven't seen this movie at this point, what are you doing? See it, okay? Deadpool, like I keep on saying, is a genius movie. It is an awesome comic book film. It is without question my favorite comic book film of 2016. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, that's why Deadpool is my favorite comic book film of 2016. So, that is my top 5 favorite comic book movies of 2016. What did you think of my list, and what are your top 5 favorite comic book movies of 2016? Leave in the comment section below. Now I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you out later. Peace.